Hail Satan, everybody. This is Drew's Sinful Sunday broadcast, like I told everybody I'd be doing every Sunday. Well, I thought about numerous things that we could talk about that I think are, relevant to the satanic community and left-hand path. But today I decided to talk about satanic magic in theory and practice. And I'm going to break it down to two brief discussions the best I can, okay? Not to take everybody's time up today. But the first part would be the theory of satanic magic, and then the second part would be the practice of satanic magic. And then I'll follow up with my little rebuttal of my thoughts about it. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me add a little quick cup of coffee here. There's a lot of magic and vibration and sound, is there not? Everything's in a frequency, including satanic magic. So, satanic magic in theory and practice. So, the theory of satanic magic is very simple, right? As opposed to atheist Satanists that don't believe there's any God or anything else out there in the universe, right? God, Satan, or whatever. Which we don't believe in God their way either, but that's the way they don't believe in God, I guess, in our own way too, as theistic Satanists. But my discussion is really not about that. My discussion is, however, about satanic magic and how to think about it, right? There we go. So, satanic magic, right? In theory, you have to go back to almost looking at how it was here on the planet when in remote times, right? When our ancestors practiced all kinds of magic. And yes, it might fall under the name of primitive magic today. It was more shamanistic for sure. But yet, that magic still did have certain practices, right? And customs that it followed. But in theory, they believed that magic worked for them, that they were doing. And like I said, it probably back then, going back to our roots in the Brotherhood tree, and it would be more shamanic, especially back in the tribal days and the older cultures. But what I'm alluding at here, going back that far, is they actually believed in magic. They believed they could create a change, utilizing forces of nature, working in conjunction with them and harmoniously with them, and could, by their raising up the spirit, right, raising up that shamanic spirit and energy, they could connect with those life forces, okay, which to us, of course, we know were our old gods and goddesses, now we call devil and demons, right? But so the magic back then was much more of a primitive form. That's true. But what I'm getting at again, as I stressed earlier, is they really believed in it. So the theory of magic is took away completely, guys, by real Satanists today that are theistic. Took away completely from an atheistic viewpoint of Satanism. It would have to be. Absolutely have to be. Because you have to go back in magical theory, as I'm discussing. And magical theory is that we can bend and shape things according to our own will, right? Now, what did Crowley say? Magic was the what? Think about it. What did Crowley say about magic? The change in situations and events according to one's will. Okay. That's what makes it magic then. Is because it actually, they can't call it coincidental magic because it was the Satanist's will, right? That magician who's willing that to be done. It's their will. So magic is a change of situations and events according to your will, and then therefore becomes magic. So the basic theory in magic is you absolutely have to be a Satanist that believes in satanic magic, not one that just goes through the motions of doing satanic ritual without really believing, as a theistic Satanist should, in the demons, Mother Lilith, Samael, Saint, and all the principalities, right? So magic in theory goes back to one basic key point, a cornerstone on the witch's pyramid: belief. You've got to believe. But when you really believe, then it's not so hard to come up with a theory about magic. Now, I'm not talking about magic that doesn't work, right? I'm talking about magic that actually works and brings a spiritual manifestation from the spiritual plane over here to the physical plane. Then that magic's really working. Okay, so the theory of magic, I think, and as a satanic teacher, I really think the theory of magic is intact. Because there is many theories about magic, actually. How it works. How do you use it? All those things, which I'm going to be talking about in the next part, right? Practice satanic magic. But theory, like I said, theory is based upon numerous, say, practitioners that have been involved in these things for many, many years. There's where the satanic theory of satanic magic actually comes into being. Okay? It comes from the many, many people that in our past, through our present, and even some teachers today, have theorized about magic. All these different questions we might have about it, our thinking about magic, whether it was primitive magic moving into a modern time today, and magic today in today's world, can it still be used? Absolutely. And it's more than just the original witches, the female witches, perspective of it as fascination and allurement that women have always used. Let's note those are two other forms of magic. And then there's sympathetic magic. So there's, lots of forms of magic that we've theorized on for hundreds of years as our kind, right, as our kindred. But the theory, again, breaks down to, do we believe what our ancestors said about all those things? Or not? Now, yeah, Drew lives in today's world now. I'm living in a modern time now. I know I've lived many past lives. That's beside the point. But I'm living in a modern time. I have an incarnation going on right now in this present. Right? My present incarnation. And that magic, in theory, right, goes back to them saying, I've got to believe in what my ancestors believed in. They had numerous reasons for magic, like I've said earlier. But when they did this magic, and sometimes the whole tribes and village and everybody get together to do it together. And then there was mysteries for the women and mysteries for the men also. But we all lived it then. That's what I'm getting at. They had to believe 100% to live it. There's what the modern Satanist today has to go back to, guys. We got to reconnect with that theory. That theory about magic. Because we have to live it. Living it, we're not just connecting with the things of today's modern time and the usages of magic that are known today. We're also connecting with that old current of magic, right? And we were learning all those different theories from all the old tribal customs and cultures and so on and so forth, right, as well. But again, theorizing on magic. When we did magic in our remoter times, and it was because the crops were barren. The earth was barren. There was no crops. People were starving to death, right? They sent out the hunters, because we had hunters and gatherers at the time. the hunters went out and they couldn't find game, they couldn't find nothing to bring home to eat, right? So the village got together and did a main big ritualistic, festival with ritual. But guess what happened? Shortly thereafter, the hunters brought back a lot of food from the hunt, and the next spring, the very next planting season and growing season, produced a great deal of crops then for that culture and that tribe. Did their magic work? Yes. Why did their magic work? They had shamans. They had people that believed in their magic. Just like we do today. If you're a Satanist that doesn't believe in your magic, you're just going through the motions. And it's great to be just a philosophical Satanist and believe in the philosophy of Satanism and live that. But you're losing half of it if you do not understand and want to practice Satanic Magic. Okay. And now Satanic Magic in theory covers a lot of things. Okay, I'm going to get into the practice part of it in a few minutes. But the theory of Satanic Magic has been unbroken through all these, centuries and thousands of years before. Okay. You wouldn't have the similarities in all the ancient cultures, practicing and believing in all these different kinds of magic, including funerary magic, which to me is a little more on the darker side. The Brotherhood loves our darkness. I personally lean a lot towards the old dark magic that were connected to those funerary rites, the old dark rites, and the rites of the necropolis, right? The place of the necro, the dead. So the usages created, and the need created many of our kindred to theorize on magic from all different kinds of directions, like I said. And magic could be used, very simple forms of it. Like I said, sympathetic magic is one of those. Just even thought form magic, using a thought form pattern can create it. And so much more, right? So let's move back into now the practice of Satanic Magic, okay? And the practice of Satanic Magic, like I said earlier in some of my other teaching broadcasts, the practice of Satanic Magic also hinges on belief. So there it is again. Because if you don't believe, your magic's not going to work, no matter how much you practice it. Right? Then you're going through the motions again, like I said in the first part. Okay, but you're going through the motions with practicing it this time. Okay, so you get belief. That's how important belief is. And to a real Satanist, we're not theist. We are theistic. We're not atheistic. So we had to believe in the first place. We want to believe. We know because we've seen enough to believe. At least Drew has. And it's not you have to see to believe. It's believe to see. That's the real truth of it. I say it with the side of the horns because it's very true. But let's get back to the practice of Satanic Magic, right? It's a lot more than just using a 13-step ritual method, okay? Say from the COS's Satanic Bible or even the Brotherhood's 13-step ritual. Now, that is a way to practice it. And even there, you're utilizing the right demons, of course, for whatever conjuration you're using after the invocation to Satan. Ours, for the Brotherhood, is more an evocation to Satan, which is really cool. So, the differences are, with the COS, they have a 13-step ritual, like I said, and so do we. We want to evoke and bring those real energies and manifestations to us. So we're not going to call it, an invocation to Satan or anything like that. It's not how we do it. Ours are really, even though we may call it an invocation to Satan at times, it's really an evocation of Satan, or evocation to Satan. Evoking means to bring that demon or that entity to you, in either where you can actually see it, if you, like I said, if you're clairvoyant enough, but into manifestation. That's an evocation. Invoking, you bring those spirits within yourself. And magic can work both ways, whether you're invoking or evoking. But one's a step higher than the other, believe me. Because evocation, I think, is a much more powerful form of magic than satanic magic. It really is. Okay. But back to what I was saying about the 13 steps. So Satanists, we can use a 13-step ritual. No doubt about it. And we still use demons and demonesses that actually correspond with the conjuration that were made the purpose of our magic, right? The purpose of even doing a 13-step ritual. Again, there's belief, guys. Why go through the motions of doing 13-step rituals if we don't really believe in Satan or the demons? Boy. This is where it gets humorous to me sometimes, okay? Because there's Satanists that actually do that. Not theistic Satanists. And certainly not generational Satanists that even raise our children to believe in the old ways of Satan. Okay. So, but even if it was a 13-step ritual. Now, in a 13-step ritual, as long as those demons and demonesses are the right corresponding, entities and deities that we're summoning to make that particular conjuration, bring that into manifestation, right, and make that desire happen for us. That's all good and what we need to do. Other forms of satanic magic in practice, however, and this is where satanic spellcraft comes in. You want to follow certain periods of times. You want to watch the planets, where they might be. That can influence your magic greatly. You want to watch the lunar phases. As I said, there's a time of increase and a time of decrease, and there's the most potent time in the middle. Okay. Then you want to use your satanic magic in practice by paying attention to the increased time for what? Compassion, love and lust, prosperity, any kind of healing. And then you have the dark time of destruction. You want to remove unwanted habits, any healing ailments that you're trying to get rid of it. That's where healing works both ways in satanic magic, actually. Okay, but you want to get rid of the ailment itself, so you're trying to banish it, diminish it, right? So that's the time to do that. And it's also the time to counteract hexes, magic that somebody stupidly might try to send to you. Now, if you're a very strong Satanist that knows your ritual magic and has your guardian demons, guess what? It's going to come back on them anyway. That's where you want to get to. That's my point, too, by having this kind of knowledge. Okay. But, so, you want to watch phases of the moon when you're doing your ritual magic. Okay. Not particularly 13-step ritual do you have to do that, like I said. Depending if you're using, you got to be using the right demons for sure. Demons and demons, it's for those things. But if you're working a coven ritual, a Brotherhood coven ritual, or a Satanic coven ritual, then we do cast circles of containment. And they are to contain the powers we summon within them. It's also to keep bullshit powers that might be in the area from being attracted to our energy and our rituals that we don't want, and we're not asking for. Okay, so that again, in practice with satanic magic, you do want to know the ins and outs. Absolutely. So there's the magic in theory and practice, right? So you want to make sure when you're practicing magic, you really believe. You're not just going through the motions. Then everything you do on that altar, creating those rituals, guys, even if it's a 13-step ritual, it's all thought form pattern. All the individual things, like I did earlier. They all add to the magic, am I right? Then you have all these different things, right, on the satanic altar that actually have their own vibration, but they're all working in conjunction, adding to a very larger, more large satanic vibration. Again, you want to create all that, right? And then you're doing your magic properly. So you have magic in theory and magic in practice. But again, the key ingredient, like I said, to both of those is belief. Again, I'll go back to the theorizing of magic. The people that used magic back then, our kindred and our ancestral lines, they had to really believe in magic. They depended on magic as part of, and actually it was part of their everyday life, which Drew was trying to tell the satanic community. Make your satanic magic, make your satanic life, and believe in satanic philosophy and live it your way to walk in this incarnation. But again, you can't have the practice of satanic magic without theories about it. And those theories are going to come from all kinds of directions, that's for sure. But realize, if they theorized about it and they were practicing it back then, they believed. They had to believe it. They had plenty of instances and reasons why they believed, just like I do today, to this day. So remember your timing in magic. Satanic magic is really, something else. And in practice of magic, there's all kinds of magic, by the way. Ritual magic. There's the more ceremonial magic, like the Golden Dawn rituals and so on and so forth, right? But to be honest with you, they're really not considered satanic magic. They are an esoteric lodge way to transmit their magic, okay, or their presentation of magic in the ritual drama. It goes back to me, though, to where I said that a real satanic magician has no need to summon angels. Unfortunately, you have a lot of that in the Golden Dawn. And like I said, it'll go back in ways that was influenced by Arthur Edward Waite, who considers himself a Christian mystic, but to be honest with you, he had where he had 2 feet into things. His 1 foot overrode the other one, okay? It was more into the Christian side, unfortunately. But there's other higher forms of magic, of course, besides, which actually our magic is fairly ceremonial too. That we do. The rituals a Satanist does is ceremonial. It may not be those higher ceremonies, and if it's not, to me, that's a great thing, because they're not supposed to be. Our rituals aren't supposed to be Christianized. No Christian influence should there be. When we do that, we're wild and we're free as Satanists. No Christian influence should there be, and then we are all both wild and free. And that's a fact. Our ancestral lines, going back to theory, they certainly didn't believe any of the encroaching Christian bullshit when the Christians tried to encroach upon their lands and stuff. In fact, they did a lot of magic towards that, too, to protect themselves. That's absolute fact also. When my ancestors were in ancient Gaul fighting against the encouraging Romans, believe me, we gave them the battle. We used magic along the way. A lot of druidic magic, dark druid magic. Lots. They ran into a lot of skeletons and a lot of dead Roman soldiers hanging out in the woods in those dark forests. Oh yeah. So again, in the theory and practice of magic, as far as you go back, sometimes those old practices are very, very powerful. They always were, to me. Okay. I like the fact that back in our ancestral time, my ancestors enjoyed, pouring the blood of Roman soldiers, pouring their blood out to feed the oak trees. Again, there's a lot of different kinds of magic. Okay? And so, And in your theory and practice of magic, don't forget the natural magic of our earth, because that's where we're all drawing it from, too. It's from the demons and Satan, there's no doubt. But the demons and Satan have taught us also that our actual earth is what sustains us. This is where we're living. Am I right or wrong? Okay. So, a lot of that old earth magic. And people will try to say, well, that was more primitive. It really wasn't any kind of organized ritual. Bullshit. Look, start doing some studying on primitive magic, and you think those rituals weren't elaborate. Okay? Again, when you live something, it's a totally different way of seeing it. You're not under any kind of construct that was created for you by Christian brainwashing or, outside theories that are not from our kindred or the Brotherhood or, people that are like us that believe in Satanic Magick, dark witchcraft, all the dark arts. And there's where I'm always telling people, a lot of the real magic, okay, both theory and in practice, did come from those old lines, what I call dark paganism. You got to understand, and study some of that. As a dark druid, I'm part of the Grand Druid Council. I'm actually Grand High Druid now. But the Dark Druid Council, taught me a lot, okay, and it taught me a lot about my ancestry. It actually helped me open up the door to my own DNA to my ancestors. So I know they did all these practices. And were they primitive, or did they really know what they were doing? And they did tap into, as I do today, things on the earth plane. Now the reason we want to be rooted in the earth, guys, with our satanic magic too, is because where are we practicing our magic? We're practicing our magic here in this incarnation. Where are we? We're on the earth plane. There's where your real satanic tree comes from, right? Your satanic tree of life. That's what I call it, the Brotherhood tree of life. Our roots are there. But our magic is the whole tree, am I right? And then as we progress in our magic through the trunk of the tree, our branches spread out just like our bloodlines, but our branches spread out with all kinds of esoteric knowledge of the dark arts. And again, guess where that comes from? When you've unlocked the current. You've tapped into the current then. You're beginning to understand satanic magic. Not just the theory. Study the theory, because Drew's telling you the histories and legends and things. That's just as important, because that also opens up the thought form patterns to start vibrating, okay? But you want to physically do it in this life. I always look at it as I learned from the past too. But I'm still here in the present, and I'm also looking towards the future. And that's who we all are. Now, as knowledgeable Satanists, we know that's who we all are. And realize something. Tap into that old energy. Practice what we're doing here in the present as Satanists that practice ritual magic, And then guess what? We can create what's manifested in the future. Why? Because we have the ingredients of the whole cauldron. To me, that big cauldron that's downstairs in our temple, one of them that we have, represents all the knowledge of the Brotherhood, okay? It's the ingredients of that witch's stew. The witch's stew that stews around in our heads, right? But it connects to somewhere, right here. Our soul vibration. So all those ingredients are in the cauldron, right? We want to use all of them when we take a drink out of that cauldron. When we're doing that, that is what they call a cauldron of rebirth to the dark druids. Cauldron, Carolyn, whatever name we want to call it. Many, many dark goddesses had the cauldron. That's a fact. Even in Irish Tuatha De Danann, one of the chief primary gods was Dagda, god of the cauldron. That cauldron was never empty. Now I'm going to tell you why that cauldron was never empty, because that tribe, the Tuatha De Danann, had their feet rooted in the earth, okay? They had their knowledge, they knew their magic. People in ancient Ireland don't even know where they came from. It took 100 warriors just to carry Dagda's war club. To drag his war club. But if you drank from the Dagda's cauldron, which had all those magical ingredients I'm talking about here with Satanic Magick, right? Guess what? You could be reborn. Well, you're still alive. And sometimes the Dark Celts believed that you could jump into another incarnation very easily. Okay. Now realize with Satanic theory and magic, theory and practice of magic, you know, there's so much more deeper things that are involved here. You know, I could probably talk for hours and hours on this stuff, guys. I don't want to bore everybody. But remember what I said, you want to have in your individual cauldron all those ingredients, right? Gleaned from that, not just the theory of magic, but the practice of magic. That creates something within you, as I've always called it, a satanic thought form pattern, okay? Now that's the thing that you have to connect with your magic to create. It's almost like creating a magical child, okay? So you have to create that thought form pattern. And if you can really do that by having the right knowledge, the theory and the practice of Satanic Magick, right, you will create that manifestation that you're able to do. That's a fact. So, my basic thoughts now, that we've talked a little bit about Satanic Magick and theory and practice, my thoughts go back to, again, the 4 cornerstones of the witch's pyramid, right? So you have to use those 4 cornerstones constantly in magic. Whether it's Satanic Magick or any other kind of ceremonial magic, even regular witchcraft magic, whatever you want to call it, right? Your craft, which I call the Satanic craft. You craft your magic. So the 4 cornerstones, faith, will, visualization, and secrecy. Now many try to say imagination instead of visualization. But no, it's not imagining it. You might see the image, but you're using visualization. So it's better to call that cornerstone visualization instead of imagination. The imagery, though, is the thought form pattern, the satanic thought form pattern Drew was just talking about. So the 4 cornerstones of the witch's pyramid: faith, will, visualization, secrecy. Well, faith really means belief. Because you actually believe in something that you may or may not see, right? And within Satanic Magick, there are forces that are seen and unseen. Remember me telling you about how to develop, how to see them. No, not everybody can see them right off the bat. You develop that vision. So there's another theory, right, that goes back to Satanic Magick, about the usage of the demons and actually training yourself to actually be able to see them. And I mean see them without hallucinogenic drugs. I've done my share of that in my time too. But actually being able to see them without the usage of hallucinogens. And that comes from utilizing your knowledge of Satanic Magick and using what you need to use. Again, when you're doing an external ritual, guys, okay, you're going through a ritual drama. And the ritual drama is meant and is created for you to reenact and go through the things that actually are here in your satanic soul already. Okay? The outer is meant to stimulate the inner. Now, this isn't new to just Satanic Magic. This is actually in all mysticism and real magic. That's why the importance of going through the rituals is important. There's a lot of Satanists that will argue that with me, perhaps. Oh, Drew, we don't need the ritual on it. You're missing those interconnections, right? Okay, it's more than just the chakras within you, guys. There's light in a real black flame of Satan in your soul. Now, did Drew say that? Yeah, I did. And it connects here at your third eye. But now go to your left, though, as all Satanists should. There's where our pituitary gland is, right? That's what vibrates to illumination. Okay, your ultimate goal in practicing Satanic Magic is you're going through the outer to stimulate the inner initiation. That's why the word initiation, break it down. Initiate. The beginning of. It occurs within, right? It begins. When you're lighting up those connections, you are beginning. You are fully initiated, right? And that initiation is that connection with your satanic soul with the black flame of Satan. Okay, it's a better way for me to explain it, I think. So, your Satanic Magic, it means a lot of things. And why to use it? It's great knowing, well, our ancestor did this and that. You got to believe we can still do those things. We still do. I've done it my whole life, actually. And I continue to. And I'm going to till I'm in my grave. And even then I'm stepping out of my grave and I'm going to continue to practice magic in my incarnations. It's who I am. Now, Satanic Magic is very powerful. So, in my thought form pattern or my notes, you know, my thoughts about it, what I've just taught to you guys or said to you guys, it's a real personal thing. Your personal connection with magic, right? Now, understand when you're doing that, you're actually connecting with natural law also. You got to remember, Satan is nature's God. Always has been called that, God of this earth. So it would stand to reason that Satan would be, of course, the man in black, would be the dark goddess's consort. There's no question of it. To those in the know. So, you want to be a Satanist that moves away from just a theory about Satanism or you like reading about it, right? And remove it from any kind of a thing of, well, it's just a phase I'm going to go through. Maybe next week I won't even believe. So there's where these things are key that Drew's teaching right now, okay? Because once you start living these things that Drew's saying, you need to live your Satanism, the satanic craft, okay? And you craft your life yourself. The reason I'm saying you've got to live it is so you don't lose that connection, okay? And all those things that I just told you, why to do Satanic Magic in either a 13-step ritual or you get to a certain level where you can actually join with others in a coven family. It's even more of a tight family than even a grotto system family or a marketry in the Brotherhood family is. And when I tell you guys that, you know, you move away from theory into practice and you're in larger group rituals, for instance, wow, is there a powerful energy and vibration there? Because then you're not just an individual Satanist that has the soul connection, mind, soul connection with the black flame of Satan. You have that connection with all the other flames in the dark circle, your brothers and sisters. When that black flame really gets lit, you're going to remember it all. What's in your blood, practicing with other people you've known before, and you go, wow, this is the first time I ever in ritual with them. but I don't understand this. I know I was here before. I did just everybody's. I know everybody. They're so familiar. That word familiar in witchcraft, by the way, doesn't just mean animals. Drew can tell you a lot. And I like to say it's satanic ritual practice and satanic ritual magic that I know about. Okay? Because we do know satanic witchcraft is much older than any form of that new Fluff Bunny Wicca. But what most don't know, because not every Satanist is also a satanic witch. Okay, I have to say that also again. But what most people don't know is how far back the belief in Satan really goes. Okay, wow. And our ancestors really believed. We had different names for Satan. And then eventually he was developed into the man in black in the witchcraft covers, right? Or symbolized by the black ego. This is all true. So magic and theory and practice. And in satanic magic, there's so many magical things that can be brought to the fore in Satanism. Now, the Brotherhood has done examples for everybody. Whether some of our members remember or don't remember, they probably all will, because it was quite an experience. We even had a strong enough belief that we had a sabbatic goat. Our own sabbatic goat always there in our rituals. And believe me, he would be demonically possessed at times. His name was Sabbath. When Sabbath's time came, Satan took Sabbath. But there's a whole reason why in satanic magic, in satanic ritual magic, you have these things there, right? All these different elements that I'm talking about, are ingredients of the cauldron, like I said, are all very, very important. So your traditional things are very important in satanic magic. Following traditions and customs, every bit of it adds to the power of that magic, everybody. Every bit of it. And you have all these different things, like I said, that all come together, right? And then they're all connected with your mind and with your black flame. You're remembering it all. Now, in a satanic initiate's travels, in their soul journey, the journey of their satanic soul, they're going to come to a point, when all of a sudden, that satanic pituitary gland is going to go off. Okay, and when it starts vibrating really strongly, it's going to be because you practiced. You were doing things with the demons. You weren't theorizing about satanic magic anymore. You were practicing satanic magic. And that opened up the whole door, the whole vibration for you. That's going to come for every real initiate. Okay, and you got to stay the course, right? Stay stirring the cauldron. Stay the course. And because you can't quit. As Satanists, now let me tell you what there could be a pro and con, right, to using satanic magic, I guess. Now, if you quit satanic magic after you've been really doing it for a while, and you're utilizing the demons, and you have that rapport already built up with the demons and stuff, you don't want to insult the demons by going, oh, I'm just going to quit now, it's just a fad to me. Holy shit, you don't want to do that. The rest of your life will be fucked up if you live it very long. No joke. So, remember what I said about belief. It's a very serious thing. In all magic, it doesn't matter if it's satanic magic, as practiced by generational Satanists like myself, and all generational Satanists. Anybody tells you difference, they're lying to you. All generational Satanists are theistic Satanists. We believe in Satan. So therefore, in our theory and practice of satanic magic, that's why belief is critical, my friends. So, when you go off to your travels this week until my next Sinful Sunday broadcast, believe. There's the key word I'm leaving with you. Believe and you will see. Hail Satan. And after hailing Satan, don't forget to hail yourself. So mote it be. Hail the Brotherhood. Knowledge used with wisdom is our way. This is the way of the Brotherhood, and it is the way to power. Ave Satanas. May you live long and prosper.